Hello and welcome to the WorkPay software solution. This video is specifically catered towards businesses based in Nigeria. You can see that here. And what WorkPay basically does is help you to take care of your people operations from an end to end point of view. And I'm going to start with the dashboard. From here, you can already see that as an admin, I am being prompted to do some things. For example, to approve for expenses, to approve for leaves, and so on and so forth. On my right hand side, I have upcoming events. This can be things such as employees' birthdays, work anniversaries, any public holidays that are coming up. You'd also be able to see them here, and also for employees that are on contract basis, you'll be able to see the days in which their contract has to expire. At the bottom, you'll be able to see quick links for you to go to leaves, to earned wage access, loans, assets, and so on and so forth. And I'm going to navigate to the left hand navigation bar. This is the green part that you can be able to see here, and basically walk you through the different modules as we go along. The first item right after the home, or rather the dashboard, you're going to see the employee tab. This module takes care of everything from onboarding to analytics, employees, trainings, and so on and so forth. We will see that in a second. You have your payroll module, you have your expense management module, you have your leave module, you have your benefits module. Um, you also have your payments module, taking care of any payment that is done through Workpay. This can be salaries, this can be utilities that the company is paying. Any payment, you can basically do it on Workpay. You even have reports. These are categorized into two. You have your statutory reports and you have your non statutory reports. We will also be able to see that in a second. You have the time and attendance module. This is for businesses that are more centered around the time that employees get into work and the time that employees leave work. And that is basically used to calculate the employees' pay. Or even people who just want to be able to track their time. You can also be able to do that here. You also have the assets module. This is helping you keep track of any company asset that has been issued to an employee or to employees. You have things like company laptops, you have things like company phones, company cars, and you can also be able to basically keep track of them, add images for reference purposes, and so on and so forth. So we'll also see a little more about how that can be able to be of value to you. Here you can be able to digitize all your documents, employment handbooks, sales playbooks, employment contracts, resumes, you name it. Then you have settings. We will see that in a second also. You have your employment types and you have billing, which takes care of your subscription. So I will start with the employees tab, where we will look at onboarding. And this is basically looking at the flow in which an employee joins the organization. And the other alternative or scenario is whereby you have just joined Workpay and you need to basically onboard all your employees. So you can be able to do this here by coming in, creating your onboarding workflow based on how unique it is within your organization. And you can even come here and be able to go through a dedicated checklist and say, maybe I require to take down the employee's assets. Perhaps I might not need a next of kin for now. So you can just check or uncheck any of those that are relevant to you. Same thing goes with the personal details. You can just check that if that is something that is required in your organization. Same goes for the statutory details. You can be able to request any of these in case those are important to you. Of course, with the payment details for salary payments, your documents as well, if you need them to provide possibly their NIN slip, you can also be able to include that. Same as with the emergency contract and legal. Once you have been able to take down all of those, or basically prepare that from your end, you can now send a link to employees to be able to basically onboard themselves. So the first way that you can be able to onboard, or the first method, is using what we call self onboarding. So you can also be able to come here for employees that are perhaps moving a bit slow. You can always send them reminders. You can always send them reminders. You can always delete onboarding processes in case maybe someone did a mistake, just for rectifying purposes. I'll jump into the analytics tab. This is helping you basically take care of anything to do with analytics from an employee perspective. You can see here, I can have a view of the gender types within my organization. And I can choose to use this for recruitment purposes. So, for example, I can see that I have a bias here in my company from gender perspective. I may need to use this information maybe for gender equity or gender equality, and maybe give a chance to more males or more men, just to balance the team. Same thing goes on your right hand side. You have your turnover rate. This is to help you to basically look at specifically for contract employees, because that is where employee turnover is very frequent, and see maybe which are the areas that I can be able to seal these loopholes from an induction process, orientation process, or even from a training perspective. So we'll move on to the third item under employees, which is the employee master data section. And just to wind up the item on onboarding, so we have looked at self onboarding, where you can send the employee links. This is where you can be able to onboard employees one by one in case one member of the team has joined. Then you also have other ways in which you can just use a CSV file, basically fill it, upload it, and all your employees are going to appear in the system as you have seen right now. And this is what we had started with, which is basically sending an employee a link in order for them to basically self onboard themselves. Just skimming through the others, you have trainings. This is helping you keep track of any trainings that are happening, internal trainings, external trainings. You can keep track of them. You can add certificates just to justify that indeed a specific training happened, and even have an additional layer of line managers to acknowledge that indeed this training happened. And then you have exits, or rather offboarding. Any employee who has resigned, maybe the contract has been terminated, you can be able to take care of all those processes from here. Moving on to payroll and starting with analytics, one thing that you'll realize is that analytics is a cross-board entire system. You'll be able to analyze various bits of information or data, and give you very interesting pieces of information to be able to ask interesting questions. So, for example, here on the department summary, I can be able to see how each department has been able to consume company resources. And from here, I can see in the month of September, the sales department, which is the business development department, consumed 5.3 million naira worth of company resources. And as a manager, you can be able to come up with questions such as, if 5.3 million naira was consumed, how many did the team actually bring in terms of revenue? So you can see there are various ways that you can be able to make use of this. You can be able to run payroll, of course, on a monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly basis. It all depends with how you do it. All statutory deductions are automatically deducted, so you don't have to worry about that. You just need to check maybe to ensure everything is okay, and carry on as far as approvals are done, and mainly from your company's perspective. So if you have three people approving, it's not a problem. You can be able to set that up. If it's just one person, you can set that up as well. Then approved payrolls end up on past payroll. And from here, you can do the best part, which is basically paying these employees. All employees will get their money on the same day at the same time. That is the best part. We will also look at pay slips. So another thing is that not only will employees be able to get their money on the same day at the same time when you proceed with this payment workflow, employees will also be able to receive their pay slips automatically. So we have an employee self-service app available both on Android and iOS. So you don't need to send that to them. They can basically be able to receive it automatically. However, for employees that might not have smartphones, you can always email it to them, or you can always download it in bulk, print it, and give it to them. So another aspect of payroll is allowances and deductions. You can be able to add as many allowances as you like, depending with how unique they are within your organization. You can also be able to add as many deductions as possible. And a quick distinction here is that all statutory deductions are done automatically, so you'll not be able to see them here. This is basically for you to add any other deduction that is unique to your organization that is not statutory. You have salary advance, which is quite straightforward. If you have a provision for this within your organization, you can be able to ask your employees to request for it using their app. They'll be able to end up here where you can be able to basically approve, disapprove, and the best part again is you can be able to pay directly from the platform. For savings and loans, this is in the event whereby you have a savings scheme within your organization or a loaning scheme within your organization, or maybe if you just want to track these items or these things within your organization, maybe an employee has a loan requisition from the bank and you just want to track this in a much easier way. You can be able to do that from here. You can be able to keep track of overtime and also have your employees log them through their application. In case anybody does not have a smartphone, not a problem, you can be able to issue the overtime from here as well. Then moving on to the expense management module, this is taking care of all expenses. You can be able to pay directly from here. You can be able to approve. You can be able to disapprove. And for any payment that needs approval, you will also have the benefit of viewing a receipt for justification purposes. That's just so that you can be able to be aware that indeed this money for this office item was used specifically for that purpose. You also have leaves. You can be able to take care of any leave requests, starting with the statutory leaves that are compliantly laid out by the employment law of Nigeria. You can also be able to schedule leaves for better planning and organization. You can also be able to keep track of any benefits, so pension, life assurance, you name it. And right here under payments, you can be able to take care of any payments as mentioned earlier. You can come in here, top up your e-wallet, and proceed to pay all your employees on the same day at the same time. And they're automatically provided with an account statement for visibility and also to help your accounting team to have a paper trail. We mentioned reports, and we mentioned that they are split into two, which is the statutory reports. You have pension, NHIS, payee, Form G, and Form H1. Everything else is non-statutory, just for you to be able to handle things better internally. You also have time and attendance. I will just skim through this. This is just helping you keep track of time, and we use various devices to help you to do this: facial recognition devices, fingerprint biometric devices, and for those teams that are still growing, employees can still be able to use the same application that they use for their leaves and to request for expenses, to basically track their time. So it makes it much, much easier and cost effective. We will look at assets, and this also helps not only in tracking and knowing what company assets employees have, but also in the event of offboarding, you want to be able to know a specific employee, how many items do they have before you can actually release them during their transition. Same thing with documents. You want to digitize all your documents and have them in one dedicated HR software, and that helps you do exactly that. Now we're going to look at settings, and this is where you're able to set things up. So either if you have multiple organizations or you have multiple subsidiaries, you can be able to set them up here so that you don't have multiple passwords for multiple companies. One of the beauties of using a solution such as this is that you can be able to access multiple companies or multiple subsidiaries simply by setting them up here, and you simply have the benefit of switching from company to company. You can set up, of course, departments, job titles, approval workflows, and so on and so forth. You can be able to set up users. So if you have people in your HR department, in your finance department, you can be able to set that here and be able to give them rights and permissions to be able to do various things within their capacity. Also, looking at payroll, this is giving you the opportunity to set up different things, be it statutory like NHIS or CRA, giving you the opportunity to select between the gross rate or the new rate based on the New Finance Act of 2020, or if you need to basically break down the gross of your payroll in order for you to have a much in-depth look of how all those allowances are being broken down. And you have many, many other different types of settings that you can be able to take advantage of. We want to look at employment types. And here you can be able to create different employment types depending with the employment engagement. So you have contract staff, you have full-time staff. You want to say, for example, for contract staff, do you deduct tax within your organization? You can say yes or no. Do you deduct pay, or is it withholding? You can select either of them. Or is it pension? You can say yes or no. And also the payment frequency, if it's monthly, weekly, or bi-weekly, you can also select that as well. So the last thing is billing, and that is basically helping you keep track of your billing on WorkPay. Any kind of subscription that you're on, be it quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, you can always be able to renew your subscription from here, just to make it easier and also stay ahead in the event whereby you might forget.